Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all an update to my Cardfight Vanguard Almajestar deck profile for post-Dragon Masquerade. This is the second deck that I'll be updating with the Mask support, with the new form of Zeno Almajestar Astria Biko Masks being a alternate version that you can ride with the new Mask Hydragram order in the deck, still pertaining to the critical playstyle that the deck is meant to do, but also being able to make use of the playstyle of getting rid of the Astria unit from your hand, soul, or drop zone to gain the additional power that the original Astro Unica could do as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and we'll start off with the ride deck for the lineup. We are running the Grade 0 Almajestar, Pipis Mulchi for the starter. When rode upon, if you went second, draw a card. Our Grade 1 is Almajestar Schwartz Sparta. When this unit is rode upon by Almajestar Turan Dyna, use Soul Blast 2, and if it was a critical trigger, Soul Charge 1 and draw a card. And on the rear guard, once per turn, if your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, bind a trigger from your Soul, and it gets plus 10 until end of turn. So just an added power option if needed, with our Grade 2 being Almajestar Turan Dyna. When it's rode upon by a unit with Astria and its card name, choose an Almajestar Schwartz Sparta from your Soul and call that card and this card to rear. So that's why the rear guard abilities are still viable, because you'll call both of these cards out from the Soul to the field. And on rear guard, once per turn, if you have a Vanguard with Almajestar and its card name, you counterblast 1, choose 2 trigger units from your drop, put them into your Soul, and this unit gets plus 5 until end of turn, recycling some of those trigger units that you can use in the Soul for your bigger plays involving your go-to Vanguard, Almajestar Astria Unica. And with the copy we're running in the ride deck, we are running additional copies in the deck as well for the added power to use with our Vanguard. So 3 additional copies of Astro Unica. You have the Soul Blast and bind all critical trigger Soul Blast for the cost of this card. And when a trigger unit is Soul Blast for the cost of this unit's ability, you choose one of your units and it gets plus 5 until end of turn. And then when you perform all the following based on the number of criticals that you placed in the bind zone for Astro Unica: 1 or more cards, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. 2 more, it gets critical plus 1. And 3 or more, it gets drive plus 1 to end of battle. But the main play comes in the form of using Astro Unica for our new Grade 3, which we are running 4 copies of Zeno Almajestar Astrio Biko Mask. It can only be written from a Grade 3 with Astria in its card name, but that's what we also set up with the Mask of Hydragram. And from the Vanguard Circle, once per turn, remove a card with Astria and a different card name, with a different card name from this unit from your hand, Soul, or drop, and choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it, and this unit gets drive plus 1 until end of turn. So you have to remove a card with Astria with a different card name from this unit to use this card. So you have to use the other Astria Unica for this play. That's why we're running additional copies of this card. The only other reason we're running multiple copies of Biko Mask is so we still can use the Persona ride in the deck as well. And when this unit attacks, you can counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, and bind all the critical triggers Soul Blast for this cost, and choose one of your rear guards and stand it. And that unit and this unit get plus 5 till end of turn for every 2 criticals in your bind zone, giving you more of a plus power option, but still being able to give you the additional attack with your rear guard also thanks to this card. And moving on now to the Grade 2s, we're still running the 4 copies of Kit's Peak Griffin. With this card, when placed on rear, if you have a Vanguard with Almajestar and its card name, you choose 2 trigger units from your drop zone, put them into your Soul. So even having your Mask version of this card, you have the additional option for your Kit's Peak Griffin to give you the triggers and Soul needed for your plays. And also on rear guard or guard circle, if your bind zone has a critical trigger, it gets power plus 5 or shield plus 5 also. And we're also running 4 copies of Clean Sweep Dragon. More soul buildup, but also being able to take away from your opponent's field as well, up to 3 units for just a counterblast. And being a once per turn, as long as you Persona arrive, so it gives you the play to even use it when you use your Mask of Hydragram, giving you that additional power and additional plus 5 for each card chosen by this effect. So you can either build up your soul with your own units or take away from your opponents. And to help search for the Mask of Hydragram, we're also running 3 copies of Dragon Tree Wretch Skull Kemda. When it's placed on rear, Counter +1, Soul +1, choose one of your rear guards without any Dragon Tree markers, and put a Dragon Tree marker. Search your deck for up to 1 Mask of Hydragram, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So more of the search power needed to give us our main go-to order for being able to perform the cross ride with the Mask unit for Astra Unica, and then also giving us a Dragon Tree marker on the rear guard for having additional power to any unit that is on that marker. And now for the grade 1 units, I am running 4 copies of the Irem Capricornus. When this unit boosts, if you have a Vanguard with Almajestar and its card name, choose up to 1 trigger unit from your hand or drop and put it in your soul. If you put it from your hand, you draw a card. So it makes up for the card you may invest in with your hand, but still just another easy way, just having to boost and having a Vanguard with Almajestar to put a card into the soul. I have 2 copies of Twin Marvel Dragon. I do want to bump this up to 4. If I were to do that, you can drop the number of the Irem Capricornus that you're running in the deck to increase the number of Twin Marvel Dragon. With a rear guard once per turn, when you soul blast 3 or more cards at the same time, for the cost of your Vanguard's ability, you look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top or the deck or into the soul, and it gets plus 2,000 power done turn. So a good way just to replenish the soul for more of your soul blast power. And know what also could be coming with your drive check thanks to this card, just being a once per turn when you use the soul blast ability. And then the last of the grade 1s being the Sentinels, so 4 copies of Recusal Hate Dragon. I know I have the 1 copy of Psychic Prima, but you do want to run 4 copies of this card, or the Prima could be the replacement for the 1 copy of the Elementaria Sanctitude Blitz Order to use in this deck also, when going up against decks with triple drive. For the orders, the only order we're running in the deck is the 2 copies of Mask of Hydragram, being able to search the top 5 cards of your deck and choosing a unit card with Dragon Tree or Mask and its card name from among them, and adding it to your hand. And from the drop zone, if you have a Vanguard without Mask and its card name, you reveal a grade 3 card with Mask and its card name from your hand, ride the reveal card for this cost as stand, and then putting this card into the soul, and then being able to Persona Ride if your opponent has a grade 3 or greater. So it's just your setup for a quicker way to resolve and use Persona Ride with the Mask Almajestar that you use in the deck. And then for our trigger lineup, we are running the 8 criticals, so 4 copies of Lively Breath Dragon, and then 4 additional critical triggers as well, just because the critical is one of the more important cards in the deck for us to use, so we're focusing solely on being able to use those cards. If you have the ability critical, you can always replace the Diablos Girl Mai or the Lively Breath Dragon for 4 of the critical with the ability as well. And then we also run the 3 copies of the draw trigger. You can run the 3 Rouse Wildmaster Riley. My friend Nick let me borrow the deck for the deck profile, and he sadly only had the 1 copy of Riley, but just the additional shield power that this card can provide that you can place for this spot. With the last spot just being the 4 heal trigger for the additional shield. If you want any of the ability triggers, you can just replace them for 1 of replacement spots. For the heals, with our over trigger being the Galmalgaheld, for the additional pressure this card can give, the sooner you reveal it off of the drive check. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. It's a really awesome take on the Mask buildup, focusing on the same playstyle that the deck was meant to do, with a new take of being able to have a little rear guard support as well. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.